Today, we are going to screen print. At least I hope so, because I have never screen printed before. I've always wanted to, but whenever I looked up online screen printing kits, they always had like a ton of supplies. There were always chemicals involved, which made me super uncomfortable. But then xTool just sent me their brand new screen printing kit, no chemicals, way fewer supplies. So I was like, all right, let's give it a try and see if it's worth it, see how it works, and see if I can actually screen print all by myself at home. So let's give it a try. It comes with pre-coated screens and they give you some frames. So first we need to put the screens into the frames because they don't come pre-stretched. To do that, we have to push the screen into the frame and we use 4 tensioning strips, push those in, and then once those are in, you're going to use the 6 wrenches and just push those ones in to tighten everything up. And then we need to remove the cardboard on the back side of it, so just pull it off. And I had a little trouble getting the tape off when I did that, and they told me that that issue had been addressed with their newer ones. Now that the cardboard is off and the tape is off, you're going to give it a little tap, and if it sounds like a drum like this, then you know you've got everything perfectly tight. Next, we're going to put this into the S1 laser to burn off the blue emulsion layer where we want our design to appear. And if you'd like to learn more about this laser, I'll link a previous video on screen and in the video description. The screen came out great, but there's always going to be like a little bit of powder on the top of it from where the laser burned off the emulsion, so we need to clean that off. xTool recommends using rubbing alcohol, so I put some rubbing alcohol on a cotton cloth and just rubbed it in, put a little more rubbing alcohol, rubbed it off, and eventually all of it came off. It was nice and clean, so when I held it up to the light, I could see straight through it, which meant whenever I pull the ink through those areas, the ink will go straight through too. Okay, now that we've got our screen all ready, I'm going to hook it into this apparatus. You can lower it or raise it depending on the height of your material. And once you're happy, just turn the knob and it'll tighten it right up. It comes with a wooden platen and a sticky mat. So I'm going to put the sticky mat on the wood, and that stickiness will keep any fabric in place. Now let's print my very first t-shirt. I've got my screen on the apparatus. I actually burned my logo up here so I could take full advantage of as much real estate of the screen as I could get. So I covered it with painter's tape right here, but I needed some extra room to put my ink. So that's why this is uncovered, but actually on the other side, hopefully you can see it, I've got some extra painter's tape right here. I did notice that my design is a little off center. So luckily this platen down here, I can adjust these knobs and move the entire thing over so my t-shirt will be more centered with my design. I've got the stickiness on my mat and now I'm gonna put my shirt on. The stickiness is definitely keeping the fabric in place and nice and smooth, so that's nice. Now I'm just making sure that my design is gonna be centered with my shirt. All right, next step is to put some ink down, and we wanna be really generous right here with it, so I'm going to use black for this. We'll see what happens. I've got a spatula that xTool included, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of ink because I watched a ton of videos before trying this. A lot of people didn't put enough ink on here, so I'm going to put like way more than I think I need. Some people flood their screens, so flooding is basically you're going to pull the ink all the way through the screen before pushing it onto your fabric, and that just makes sure that you already have ink in your screen when you pull it onto your fabric. But I've seen people that do it and don't do it, so I think I'm going to not do it for this one because I've got some giant areas here and I don't want to put so much ink that it kind of bleeds out. I just want it like a nice even coating. So I'm going to try it without first. If it's horrible, then we'll do it the next time with flooding. I don't know, guys. I've never done this, so I'm nervous. xTool also gives you a squeegee with it, and it's got a magnetic part of it, so I can put it right here when I'm done. And it's going to cover most of my design. So they say that you have to pull it super hard and pretty quickly across. So I'm going to push down and pull, and we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. Oh no! What am I going to do here? I don't have enough ink right here. I think I'm going to pull from up here. That way I can make sure. I'm gonna put some ink at the top. Oh no. I'm gonna put some ink at the top and then pull it the opposite direction. I really thought I had way more than I needed, but I ran out. I think just because my design has a lot of open areas, and that's why. So I'm hoping that when I push it through, it's not going to like overly fill the areas that I already did. Here we go. I'm just gonna go the opposite way. Okay, we're gonna look at it. Oh no. You guys have flooded out. Really, I mean, I'm glad that I didn't flood it ahead of time, but that's not good. It's not gonna work. I'm thinking maybe my shirt is too porous for this design, so maybe we should try it on like a canvas tote. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. Maybe we should try a different design. I've got another screen burned, so let's try a different design and see like if it's the design or if it's my inability to pull properly. All right, I've got a new design on here. So I've just got some leaves around the outside and then all my flowers are outlined. So I'm hoping that this will flood less. I know I have some small details in here, so I'm assuming those are gonna get lost, but we'll see what happens. I've got my shirt down already. We'll put some ink on and hope it goes better than last time. Okay, you guys, here we go. Oh my gosh, it's like sliding. I ran out of ink again. So I'm gonna put it up here and go the opposite way to try and cover these areas. Here we go. All right. Okay, that's not bad. I'm definitely okay with that. That's pretty good, right? I'm like very happy with this. There are some areas like right here that got a little extra flooded, but it's good. So much better than the last one. I'll pull this off and then I've got some tea towels, so we'll see how it reproduces on the tea towel. All right, I've got my tea towel. It's on the sticky mat. I kind of lined it up. I'm gonna scrape my remaining ink off of the squeegee. Reuse as much of it as I can. Let's see what happens. Missed a little bit up here, so I'm just gonna come back this way. And let's see. Okay, that didn't work out quite as well. I think it's because this material is way more porous than a t-shirt is, so it's automatically going to have ink soaking into it. There's just not as many fibers to hold on to it, so that's why it all bled out. So I don't think that this is a me problem, I hope. I think it's a material issue. And now I've got to clean up the sticky mat because it definitely soaked through. We're going to try some multicolor printing. I don't feel totally experienced with this yet, but the last t-shirt went okay. So we'll mix up some ink and try a 2-color print. I've got my tote all set here. I realized after I had already burned my screen that the tote would have had to go on the opposite way to be straight up. So technically this should have been turned around. But because I don't have it that way, I put it on like this and I put a piece of cardboard in between. The bottom part is sticking, but this way I won't have any bleed through to the inside of the tote. I've got my first screen, so we're doing 2 colors for this one. This first screen is going to be orange, and then the next screen that we put in is going to be pink, and hopefully everything lines up. So we're going to do the orange one first. I'm a little nervous because I've got a lot of open areas on this one. I'm going to push it a little further down here. And I've got my mixed up ink right here. I'm going to give it a good stir to kind of loosen up the ink. I've seen and I've read that that's a really good idea. So stir it up to get it a little thinner. Put it down like we did before. I don't have as many spaces, so hopefully I won't run into that issue where I run out. I also think I'm going to have to do 2 pulls on this one, like half and half, because I've got such a wide design that I don't think the squeegee can cover it in 1 pull. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to cover the whole amount. I'm just going to go straight down the center and then we'll do the sides again. Let's see how that came out. It's a little flooded in a couple areas. I'm going to pull those ones again. Okay. I've got full coverage now on this, but I am putting an extra layer on top of it, so I'm hoping it'll cover up some of the areas where it bled out. I needed to clean up my spatula and my squeegee now and move the screen over. We might print another one of these. I can't move the tote because if I move the tote, then I definitely won't be able to line up with my second layer. So I'm going to clean these 2 off, set the screen aside, and depending on how everything comes out, we might need to do this again. Here is my screen that I'm going to make pink. So I got to put it in, and supposedly this is going to make everything line up perfectly because of using the jig when I burn them in the S1. Kind of looks like it's going to work. This isn't dry yet. I think I might need to use my heat tool and zap it first. Okay, I think I've got everything mostly dry now, so I'm going to give this a try. So I've got my pink that I mixed up earlier right here. I'm going to stir it up again. I clean my spatula and my squeegee. All right, let's see what happens. Oh no. So it's definitely off a little bit, and I have a huge issue right here. Oh, that makes me sad. This definitely didn't come out as expected. I had too much ink because I ran out of ink up at the top, so I need to figure that out. But the rest of this actually laid in pretty nicely. It was a little bit off. It wasn't like a perfect registration with my screens, but that might also have to do with this not being pulled directly onto the platen. Let's do another one and see if we can improve upon this. We'll try this again. This time I'm going to purposely put less ink, and maybe I will try and flood it first. I also wonder if I put a little ink like in the middle to help cover the top parts that didn't get it last time, if that will help me at all. I bet there's some screen printing expert watching this being like, nope, not supposed to do that. Okay, I have way less ink this time. I don't think I got this corner. Ugh, that wasn't a good pull. Okay, well, it came out better than last time. So a little less ink than what I was doing before. At least I have my shapes way better defined this time. So I'm a little bit excited about the pink now. All right, we're gonna take care of our pink one again. I'm gonna give this a stir. So on that last pull, I did it at a little bit of a different angle, and I think that helped. So I might have been doing it at like too much of a slant before. So I made it a little more upright, and I think that made it so it didn't flood it as much. So I'm going to do that again for this one. Oh, it came out really good. It's a little bit off, but I think that's just because the nature of the tote being in the wrong place. This part didn't get all the ink, just my design was wider than my squeegee, so that's part of it. Maybe I'll just like do it this way. That's better than it was. I'm not going to press my luck, so I'm going to call this one done. I think I just need a lot more practice, but now I'm figuring things out. I'm feeling way more confident than I did at the beginning because I know, like my squeegee, I've got to turn it a little differently than I was before, and I had to put a little bit less ink than I was before. All in all, I think this one was really successful. So now that I'm feeling more confident and better about all of this, I burned my logo into one of the screens. So I'm going to go get that, and we'll finish everything up by putting the logo on a t-shirt. This was the screen that had my logo and the flower bunch on the same screen. And I needed to turn the screen around and retighten it. That way my logo would show up in the right place when I put the shirt on the platen. So that's why I had to switch it around, but now we're all good to go. I put some painter's tape on this design, that way I don't get any ink in here. And even though this part's showing right now, so I can put my strip of ink here, I did put painter's tape on the other side, so nothing should soak through as long as I don't come up here, which I've got other problems if I come up here. I've done black now, I've done multicolor, so let's see what white looks like. I've seen a few videos of people saying that you have to do more than one pass with white, so I just want to experiment and see what my experience is with this. I'm going to keep in mind what I've learned so far, so I'm not going to put as much ink down as I was before, and when I pull it with the squeegee, I'm going to pull at less of an angle than I was before. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm so happy. Look at that. All right, I'm going to do one more pass, but I've seen other people talk about hitting it with the heat tool first and then doing a pass. That way it cures it a little bit and it's a little more dry. So I'm going to magnetize this on. So I'm just going to zap it a little bit. I'm super excited about this. I'm going to lower it back down. This time I'm going to make sure that I hit this part of the T. That way that fills in and everything else just gets a little bolder. But I kind of like the little bit of a worn look that it has. Definitely my best by far. So I'm going to push it the opposite way, but I'm going to make sure that I've got some ink right here. That way it hits that T. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm good. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to leave it like this. I am going to do another shirt because I'm so excited about it. Okay, I think this is pretty good. So I'll mix the ink again, put another line down, but I've already got some remnant ink, so I'm not going to put quite as much. I think my squeegee just isn't wide enough, and that was partly it. So I'm going to pay closer attention to where my squeegee's lining up before I pull it. Here we go. Making sure I'm lining up. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I'm so happy. All right, I'm gonna hit it with the heat tool again. Okay, I really, really like this like light worn look. I don't want it to be super bright white. That's just my personal preference. So I want to just pull it one more time, I think. I would honestly be happy just leaving it like this, but we'll pull it one more time just to see if we can brighten it up just slightly, because I don't know how much this is gonna wear out once we wash it. I'm okay with going a little bit brighter, but I don't wanna go more than that. I feel like I just had like a super groundbreaking epiphany. It was the amount of ink and then keeping it more upright, because that was definitely causing all the issues I experienced before. That was totally on me. I just had it too much at an angle. I never noticed it in any of the other videos that I watched. Like nobody ever talked about it. It's like completely working now because of that. Okay, we're good. We are super, super good. Still need to work on my placement. We did it, you guys. We screen printed successfully. I think we ended up successful. There were a few bumps along the road, but we got there and we did it all in one day, all by ourselves. So very excited about that. There were no chemicals involved, minimal supplies and material, and a slight learning curve, but not one that I think would stop anybody else. It was such a simple thing once I figured out the angle that I needed it at and how much ink to put down. And just a tip, if this is something that you're interested in, if you don't want to waste material, I'm feeling like very guilty and wish I would have thought of this before. But if I were to do this over again, I would have put some paper down and screen printed on that first to figure out how much ink I needed and the proper angle for the pull, because once you got it down, it's very easy to replicate. And I'm so happy with the logo t-shirts. Those came out exactly how I was hoping. I'm even happy with the canvas tote, even though the registration was a bit off and I had a few areas that didn't get fully printed. I'm still super happy with how that came out. I would probably redo my flower bunch. I know what my mistake is now, so I can definitely fix that. The biggest con for me was the size of the squeegee, because I didn't fully print on some of the sides. And if I had a larger squeegee, I think that would have solved that. But I can still find larger squeegees online if I need to. So pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. I'm definitely excited where this may lead, and it opens up another potential income stream just by having that laser. If you'd like to learn more about this screen printing kit or the laser itself, then I'll leave a link right in the video description, and I'll see you next time.